So here is another Design Labs release from Nodus, this time in collaboration with Watch Crunch, which is an app-based watch enthusiast type thing. I have an account on there, actually. I just never go on there. It's actually a really good site. If you're already on there, chime in, let me know what you think of it. If you're not familiar with it and you're interested in it, I'll put a link down below. It looks like it's pretty good. There's a little bit of a learning curve. I think I just wasn't willing to adapt to it, and I don't have a whole lot of time to mess around with that. But it is a good community. They have a good thing going over there, and this is a really cool watch that was generated from that design in collaboration with Nodus. Initially, it was a limited edition of only it's numbered on the back. I forget, 99 or something like that. They didn't make very many of them. Yeah, 99. But I just checked the Nodus website, and you go to the Design Labs tab, and I'll put a link to that down below as well. They're doing them made to order, like pre-order. It was such a successful launch and release collab that the demand on it is too high. So they were just like, that's fine. We're going to still make a few. So if you're interested in it, all you have to do is go down below and do the click the link and do whatever you got to do on the Nodus website and order yourself one up, and you should be able to get one. I don't know how long they're going to do that. So if you're on the fence, I think do it. Because the price point too was another really good aspect of this watch. It's only $550. Now, I'm not saying $550 is chump change. It's still a decent chunk of money. I get it. But for what you're purchasing, it's well worth it. You can also see I'm clearly a Nodus fanboy. I have a Design Labs that I did with Weston Cullen and the Nodus team. Also, I picked up the bronze Nodus Avalon when it first came out 2-3 years ago, whatever it was, in San Francisco. And then even before that, before they were doing the Design Lab, they were doing what they called the Vault. And this is a one-of-one retrospect with an orange hand yellow dial. So this was something I spec'd out with them, and they built one. That's it. And they, as far as I know, when they did a Volt, they'll never do that combination ever again. They don't do that anymore. Instead, they've moved on to the Design Lab, and we're getting, better, newer, fresher designs and collabs like this. Now that I've babbled for 2.5 minutes, let's talk about the watch. So this is what they call the Flyboy, but it's a current series. There's other colorways. Refresh on it, though, it's much thinner. The case is 38 millimeter. The bezel is 40. You can see the overhang on that thing. The lug to lug is 47 mil, drilled lugs. The thickness on this is crazy thin. It's only 12 millimeter thick, and that is including that chamfered, proud of the bezel, flat sapphire crystal, as well as the case back. The entire unit is only 12 millimeter thick, and that is pretty impressive because it has a Seiko NH36 movement in there, which is typically, depending on what kind of water resistance you want to get, which this one has 100 meter, I think. They're usually like 13 millimeters. So this is like a whole millimeter thinner than a traditional watch of this build out. 20 millimeter lug opening bracelet is spectacular. Tapers down to 16 millimeter. You have nice screw pins, and then you have the Nodus clasp system, which is simple double pusher, and then you have the toolless on the fly micro adjust right there. You just push that button and it ratchets in and out. On the case back of this one, you do also on the bracelet have quick release spring bars, but you have the Watch Crunch kind of like wrist watch check. That's what WWC stands for, in case you didn't know. And then these were individually numbered. This is number 81 of only 99. If you go and buy a new one, it's not going to be part of the limited edition, so it's not going to have that numbering system on there, but it's basically the same watch. So if you want to get the limited edition one, then you need to find one secondhand like this one here. And then you have a 7 millimeter kind of slightly conical shaped screw down crown, plenty of traction on that, and it is signed with the Nodus logo. Like I said, inside is the Seiko NH36 movement, meaning that it has the day and the date, and the positioning is done at the 6 o'clock position, so that's pretty cool. It keeps a nice symmetry to the dial. Speaking of the dial, you see you have really nice applied aerobics there, and then the reason they got this so thin is because they kind of really got creative with almost like well, it is part of the Nodus sector series, so they have a sector dial in this, and it's not, the hour hand isn't quite all the way down into that sector ring, but it's down close to that, and that's how they were able to like kind of fit all this in there. And you can see that stuff is really close to the crystal too. So it's a really well thought out, well constructed watch design. And then you have that brushed green, fully lumed ceramic bezel insert with a 120 click bezel. Very smooth and consistent all the way around. And like I said, it is fully loomed. So let's pop it on my 7¼ inch wrist so you can see what that looks like. And then of course we're going to close out with a Lume shot of the watch. I was wearing my Tudor Pelly. Also included with this kit originally, and you had to purchase these, I believe, there was purchase instructions on the Watch Crunch app when they first launched. I'm sure they're all sold out now. But this is another product that the owner of Watch Crunch put out. It's called the Zero Pass strap, and I have not fiddled with it. This is a nice leather one, but this was included with this particular purchase. But it's, I forget how it works, but you see how this is on the bottom side? It does kind of like how you take a fabric strap and you kind of like loop it. So I don't know if I can do it. I'm not going to try. Let's just put this on my wrist. One day I will mess around with one of those. I'll have to get one from them and then experiment with it. But the size of this watch is perfection. And that's usually the case with most of the Nodus watches that I've owned and handled. They have that same kind of vibe as a lot of Seiko watches where they're magic on wrist. And that's not by accident. It's because Wes and Cullen are fans of the Seiko brand and how well those watches were designed, and that inspiration clearly is carried over to their entire brand lined up as far as making watches that people want to wear. And that's what they have here. And then, I mean, the colors of this one is a really good design, but the case is definitely the highlight of this, and only being 12 millimeter thick, and then that really good taper on the bracelet, just everything combined together just makes this, I guarantee if you have one of these, like I said, you're just going to want to wear it. It's that good. Let's give it a quick blast with the UV light, and we'll check out another healthy application, a BGW9 Lume. Very busy on the bezel. That's pretty cool. So for the Lume junkies, you'll be able to rejoice that it's a solid application. A very fun watch. And of course, all of the other Nodus watches loom up, from the early days with the Retrospect to the Avalon and to the Deep. They're all just champs. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next vid.